Today I am going to tell you another amazing story about King Vikramaditya and the Vedas. The name of the story, The Three Special Sons. Long ago in a peaceful village, there lived a rich Brahmin named Vishnuswamin. He was a learned and respected man. One day he decided to perform a great holy sacrifice, a ritual that needed many sacred items, but one thing was missing, a tortoise. So he called his three sons and said, "My dear sons, I need a tortoise for the sacrifice. Go and bring me one." The three sons set off together. They searched the rivers, the ponds, and finally they found a tortoise under a shady tree. But each one refused to touch it. The eldest son said, I cannot, it smells dirty. How can I carry this creature?" The second one said, "I will not, it is ugly and slimy." And the third one said proudly, "I too will not touch it. My skin is too sensitive for such filth." And just like that, they started arguing among themselves. Each one claimed, "I am the most particular, I am the cleanest, I am the most refined." So, unable to decide who among them was the most fastidious, they went to their king for judgment. The king listened to their story and said, Very well. I will test each of you, and we shall see who is truly the most delicate." First, the king invited the eldest son to a royal feast, a table filled with the finest dishes, rich fragrance with ghee, sweets made with honey, and fruits from faraway lands. But as soon as the food was served, the eldest son covered his nose and cried, "No, I will not eat this food. It smells like burnt corpses." The king was shocked. What nonsense! But after investigation, they found that the rice has indeed come from a field next to a cremation ground, and the smoke from the funeral pyres had left a faint scent. The king nodded thoughtfully. "Impressive, you have a sharp nose indeed." Next, the king decided to test the second one. He sent to him a beautiful woman, graceful, adorned in silks, wearing jewels that sparkled like stars. But the young man stepped back and said firmly, "Take her away. She smells like a goat." Everyone gasped. The king ordered an inquiry, and to everyone's surprise, they discovered that as a baby, a woman had been fed on a goat milk. That faint scent had stayed with her all her life. The king was amazed. "This one too has a sense sharper than any man," he said. Finally, it was the third son's turn. The king had him sleep on the softest bed in the palace. 7 thick mattresses, one on the top of each. The young man lay down. But in the middle of the night, he woke up crying in pain. When the guards rushed in, they found a red mark on his shoulder. The king examined the bed carefully and deep below all those mattresses, they found a single strand of hair, and that alone was enough to hurt him. The king shook his head in wonder. "All 3 brothers are extraordinary," he said. "I cannot decide who is greater, so I will make use of all 3 talents in my court." And so he made the eldest his royal food taster, the second his inspector of beauty, and the third his of comforts. But poor Vishnuswamin, he could not complete his sacrifice because no one brought the tortoise home. Now listen, children. This was one of the many tales told by Vedalam, the clever spirit who lived in the corpse hanging upside down from the tamarind tree. He told the story to King Vikramaditya, as a brave king carried him through the dark forest on a moonless night. When Vedalam finished the story, he laughed and asked all wise questions. "Oh, wise Vikram, Tell me, who among these three was truly the most fastidious? The third son, because his pain left proof, that red mark on his shoulder. The other two might have learned their facts through some other means, but his suffering was real. And as soon as King Vikram spoke those words, Vedalam burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, you have spoken, O king, and now I must return to my tree. With a gust of wind, Vedalam flew away into the dark night, leaving King Vikram alone once again. And that, my children, was the story of three fastidious sons, a tale of pride, perception, and clever thinking. So remember, it's good to be careful. But too much pride and perfection can make even the wisest look foolish. Now go home, my dear ones. May your hearts be kind, and your sleep be soft, and may no stray hair trouble your dreams tonight. The Three Treasures. Hello friends, are you ready for another riddle-filled tale from the adventures of King Vikramaditya and the mischievous Vedalam? Today's story is about wisdom, inheritance, and the true meaning of wealth. Let's begin. On a dark moonlit night, King Vikramaditya once again carried Vedalam on his shoulder through the silent forest. The tall trees whispered in the wind, and the owls hooted in the distance. Vedalam chuckled in his usual mischievous way and said, Vikramaditya, I will tell you another story, but remember the rule. If you know the answer and remain silent, your head will burst into 1,000 pieces. If you speak, I will fly away to my tree. So listen carefully. In a beautiful village there lived a wealthy man. He had worked hard all his life and had become very rich. He owned gold, land, and countless books filled with wisdom and knowledge. But one day the man died. He left behind his three sons and with them his three treasures. The villagers gathered around, curious to see how the inheritance would be divided. The eldest son said eagerly, I will take the gold. With it I can live in luxury and buy anything I want. The second son stepped forward and declared, I will take the land with it. I will always have a wealth and power, and people will respect me. The third son, however, remained silent for a while. Finally, he spoke softly. I don't want gold or land. I want the books my father left behind. For in them lies knowledge, and knowledge is greater than riches. The villagers began whispering. Some thought the eldest was right. Gold was the greatest treasure. Others believed the second was smarter. The land lost forever. But a few quietly admired the wisdom of the third son. Vedalam, every voice echoed through the forest. Tell me, Vikramaditya, who among the three sons is truly the smartest? The first son with gold, the second son with land, or the third son with books? If you know the answer, comment below. Vikramaditya smiled and replied with confidence. Gold and silver may glitter, but their values fades with time. Land may bring power, but even land can be lost to war, drought, and greed. But books hold knowledge, and knowledge never depreciates. It grows, it guides, and it lights the path of life. The third son is the wisest. He is the true heir to his father's treasure. Vedalam burst into laughter. Ha ha ha! Once again, Vikramaditya, your wisdom shines brighter than the gold itself. You never fail to solve my riddles. But since you have spoken, remember my promise. I must now fly away. And with a screeching laugh, Vedalam slipped off Vikramaditya's shoulder and vanished into the dark night back to his tree. And so, friends, the wise King Vikramaditya once again solved Vedalam's puzzle. Though these tales we learn that true wealth is not always in riches or land but in knowledge. Because knowledge is a treasure that no one can steal, and it only grows when shared. That's the end of the today's story. I will see you soon with next riddle of Vikramaditya and the Vedalam. Thank you for listening.